newsletter. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Well, as I talk, we'll dial in the sound, so it's coming through nicely. So thank you for being here, and to join in a very special program this afternoon. Lee Oskar is the nephew of Judy Meisel, to whose memory we dedicate his performance today. And just a couple words about Judy. The Holocaust survival story of Judy and her sister Rachel, who's Lee's mom, is beautifully told in the documentary by Laura Bialis, Talk for Alt. Many of you have seen that. And Judy dedicated her life to education. Not only did she found and start and direct our Beit HaYiladim preschool, for which today there is a huge waiting list. So if any of you are pregnant, please get on the waiting list as soon as possible. Judy was a local and a national force in Holocaust education. She taught us that one person can do a lot. And she taught so many of us the joys of a Friday night Shabbos dinner, squeezing as many people as she could around her Shabbos table. A taste of the world to come was inside of her wonderful, authentic Jewish cooking. Our upcoming building project, by the way, the CBB Center for Jewish Learning, will include a special classroom, which is going to be a kitchen, a teaching kitchen, named after Judy Meisel. That's thanks to the generosity of many donors who couldn't imagine any other name being associated with a teaching kitchen. If you have a chance to look at the drawings of our project, you'll see right up here is that teaching kitchen right top there. So we're really looking forward to everything wonderful that's going to be coming out of that kitchen. And inviting Lee to our congregation to perform Never Forget in Judy's memory was a natural fit. And I want to thank his team, Nancy, who's by the door over there, and Dimitri and Nate for bringing this to us. I also really want to thank our CBB staff and crew for making everything so wonderful for all of us. You might have seen it when you came in. Lee's artwork is displayed around the room, and you can purchase a signed and numbered copy today if you want to. We hope you do, because any of your purchases of his artwork, his recordings or merchandise that are available in the lobby, 50% of the proceeds from that he's donating to Congregation B'nai B'rith, and we thank him for that. And you can also donate directly to the Oreskes Music Fund of Congregation B'nai B'rith using the QR codes that are strategically placed in the lobby and outside as you walk out. And by the way, a wine and cheese reception will follow this performance to give you a chance to meet and greet Lee and his team. Now about you, Lee. Can I talk about you for a second? Sure. All right, thank you. You're very patient. Lee was born in Copenhagen, in Denmark. He learned to play harmonica at a young age, and at age 18, he moved to New York City with little more than a harmonica in his pocket. Is that true, or is that apocryphal?
Yeah, I had one harmonica in my name.
One harmonica to his name, it fit in his pocket. He moved to New York City, where he soon befriended and collaborated with the other musicians that formed the very famous, now well-known band.
That's not correct. That was when I came to Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles is when he met and collaborated with the musicians. who became the band we know as War. They came up with this unique combination of harmonica and saxophone, and that formed the horn section.
That was my horn section.
The horn section.
My dream, too, yeah.
And together they recorded, many of the hits that we know from War, Lowrider, Why Can't We Be Friends, and Spill the Wine, so many more. And after 24 years with War, Lee embarked on a solo career that focused he focused his time on the manufacturing of his own line of harmonicas that are now the go-to brand for pros and novices alike. In fact, I have it in my pocket right now. Here's a Lee Oskar harmonica that I had at home that I brought in.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. I appreciate it. I was beside myself with starstruck joy when Lee showed up this morning to get set up, and he overlapped with the closing assembly of our religious school, and Lee came in with his rack of harmonicas, his briefcase full of harmonicas, and he actually sat in with me and played along with some of the prayer melodies for the religious school kids. It was amazing. And then he launched into a few bars of Lowrider. And these kids, these elementary school kids, say, "I know that song." And they thought it was very cool, and I thought it was very cool. So I'll let you take it from here, Lee, as you present Never Forget. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lee Oskar.
Can you hear me okay? Am I on? Okay. First of all, Cantor, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Can you turn down the vocal just a hair so I'm not hearing myself? I get scared of myself. Thank you. Wow. It's just to start off telling you, I'm not a person who looks forward to getting on a mic and talking. It's kind of something I've chosen to do because of this journey. Well, I mean, back with War, when I played live, I never would talk on the microphone. And I would have excuse not even to sing because I had a harmonica in my mouth at all times. So, and that was my way, a license to be in the music business. But I want to start off saying, besides all the protocols, thank you for having me and all that. I'm not very good at all these protocols, but I'm sure you can feel that I really appreciate you all being here. I grew up with a lot of fear of the anti-Semitic. Because my mother Rachel, and a lot of you know my mother's sister Judy, as Judy Meisel. They were in a killing camp, as you probably, some of you know, in Stutthof. My grandmother, their mother, got the gas chamber. Not to get into, I'm not a historian, but not to get into a whole lot of all the things that happened, occurrence, but basically, when the killing marches was happening between all the killing camps, they want to get rid of the evidence, obviously, because now the Americans and the Russians were coming in, bombing, and they didn't want any evidence, the Nazis. So some people, a few, managed to escape the killing march, and my mother and my Aunt Judy were two of them. And in the middle of the winter, these young girls came across even the Russian soldiers and told them to keep moving, and they ended up in a church. They didn't want to convert. They got scared and ran. And they had changed their first names to be thought they were Russian girls rather than being Jewish. And when they came to this house where Gestapo woman was running, her husband was in the Gestapo, she was there, feeding and taking care of the Nazi soldiers, Gestapo, as they come through. And my mother and Judy were, if you would say, slaves, or were like kind of a servants for this woman. But when the bombing became more prevalent, the Americans that, and she assumed Denmark being under martial law, that would be a safe haven for her. She took my mother and Judy to help carry suitcases, got on a ship, and the ship got torpedoed. And then from there they got rescued and they were taken to Copenhagen. When they came to Copenhagen, my mother and my Aunt Judy, they decided that they better tell the Red Cross that this woman is a Nazi from the Gestapo. And my mother and Judy, they both got liberated in Denmark. And then my father is first generation Danish. His parents, my grandparents, immigrated from White Russia and started their family. So my father and his 4 siblings, 4 aunts, so I had 4 aunts and there was my father. They get married and I'm born, 1948. The fear was there constantly. The drama, the tension, the neuroticness, the nervousness. I mean, how can it not be? The horrific things that had happened. My Aunt Judy, as you all know, or many of you know, she was younger. I don't know what makes people end up differently, and she became an activist. Where my mother, she was, I mean, if she would see a John Wayne movie, it would horrifically get her very upset. Anything with a gun. I remember in Denmark, Hopalong Cassidy was an American product that was imported to Denmark. Cowboys and Indians, Hopalong Cassidy. And I remember my friend Leif and I, we both stole some pocket money out of our parents' pocket, and we went and bought one of those little guns. And the whole neighborhood in Denmark, when they saw me that thing, they all, I mean, one for one, spanked my ass and sent me home. Because in Denmark, you know, guns was not anything to even have fun and play with, because of what it represented in horrific situations. As you know, Denmark was very tolerant for humanity. I went to Jewish school, and people in Denmark would say, "Why aren't you in school, kid?" Because you go to school in your own neighborhood. And my parents would always say, "Don't tell anybody you're Jewish school, just say Messiah," which means religious school. And so there's always been this fear and this way of surviving and trying to make sure that I'm never going to be vulnerable. It's no different than saying to your child, "Don't take candy from a stranger." So again, with all this fear and so many things I was so afraid of being a Jew, very proud, but never brag. I was very proud of my heritage, but I was afraid of the vulnerabilities. Moving forward at this point, when COVID hit, and I was going through a divorce at the same time, separated and divorced, I'll be honest, I started smoking weed. Weed even got me, was something that I couldn't handle. Well, I started smoking it and I got liberated. I liberated myself with the fear. I said, you know, there's a fiduciary responsibility. I don't know if you know the word fiduciary, but it's used in legal terms. And I use it a lot because I've been dealing with a lot of legal stuff in this music business, unfortunately. I realized there's a fiduciary responsibility as an artist, as a journalist, and as a politician. And if I was to explain what I mean by that is, if I had gone to the grave and been afraid to compose and tell my story, my memoir, which is, there's an album, this is a vinyl with a booklet, and there's also CDs available. This is a memoir, and I really had to dig deep within the demons of myself to conquer and make this happen. Had I gone to the grave and not told those things that I fear in me, not tell the story, because of being a fear of someone's going to come to the door and kill me or kill my family, if I had not done this and gone to the grave, not done this, I would have been ashamed calling myself an artist. That is the responsibility as an artist. If you're truly an artist, is you must express, no matter what it is, you must express what you feel, the past, present, and future. It's the same thing I feel fiduciary responsibility as a journalist, if they possibly can do it as a human being, is to leave out their personal feelings, but to report whatever facts as they see it. Because there's no such thing as absolute truth. So the only real truth is how we care. But a journalist have to care about reporting what they see, where I'm to report express what I feel. And then you have the politicians. To me, their fiduciary responsibility is to learn from what's been reported by journalists. And maybe someday they will also learn that the artist, I don't care if you think he paints a tree bad or poor, that has nothing to do with it. But anybody who expresses graffiti or anything, take it to heart that you should embrace it. Because whatever neighborhoods you're in, if they're expressing something, take it to heart. Believe when they tell what they say. And if the industry supports the arts, then they can learn what people are feeling and thinking and maybe come out with better products, or healthy products that serves for any community. But the politician's responsibility is to put policies in place by learning from the facts of what goes on. So that's a little bit of my monologue, if I may say, to open up why I did this album called Never Forget, which is a memoir of trying to get past my fears and telling my story. Okay? The first composition I'm going to play is called Faraway Dreams. And what was interesting is, as I was composing the compositions, my mother, when she passed, I went through all the boxes and stuff. And you know, my mom, Rachel, she would write over and over again in a timeline on a piece of paper, over and over again in Danish and Yiddish and in English, because she couldn't believe it was being denied that this all happened. And I found all these scraps of paper she had written over and over again, very neurotic, very just her way of can't believe that intelligent people are talking rhetoric like this. When I took some of these papers that was written in Yiddish and I had it translated, the one that I didn't know if it was even going to be a recipe. I understand Yiddish, but I cannot read it. And so when I had translated, it turned out the one that I put next to the painting that it did for Faraway Dreams, which is a picture, an image of my mother and Judy standing in the field. Is it up? Oh, yeah, there. Judy and my mom is standing in the field. I painted it as if they're reminiscing, you know, looking back after all these years. And when it was translated, and it was put right next to that composition, Faraway Dreams, it even has the word far away in here. Amazing. It says, many years has passed. We have passed through a lot of fear. This is my mom writing to Judy in Yiddish. And from now on, let us hope for good times. We should be healthy and hear good things from far away. And you, my dear sister, should live long and be able to accomplish everything you strive to do with health and success with our entire family. Rachel Leviton. So I'm going to play this composition, and this really represents to me, doesn't matter where you come from, where you are, we all have dreams, and to have something, to have that inspiration to see past the present takes sometimes courage. I do want to say before I play Faraway Dreams, something that just came up in my mind, the difference between me, my reality, and my mother and Judy's reality. I didn't have courage to make it in the music business and leave home and do all that stuff. That was ambition. And what I want to say is that people don't realize that, it doesn't seem like a lot of people realize it, and it should be realized, that it didn't start and stop with my mom when they got liberated. It filters. It filtered to me. It filters my kids, my grandkids. It's a horrendous thing what humanity has done to each other. And my Aunt Judy, my mom, when they survived every moment in that killing camp, I got to believe that had to be courage. I mean, imagine being on a ship and the ship sinks and you don't see land anywhere. Which way are you going to swim? What if you're swimming and you say, maybe I'm swimming further out to the ocean? How much courage do you have to keep going? If I see a sliver of land somewhere, even if it might be further than I can get to, at least I got ambition. I got somewhere I'm going. So there's a big difference between having courage and having ambition. I left home to have ambition. My mother, Judy, no matter how positive Judy was, they suffered or they dealt with courage. Here's Faraway Dreams. Yeah. And let me know if the sound, if the balance, everything is okay, hopefully. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is a thing called Miracle Children. And Miracle Children I composed because actually my Aunt Judy said to me one day, she said, "You're a miracle child." And what she meant by that was that between my mom and Judy, till they came to Denmark, they thought all the Jews were wiped out. As one of the stories I remember hearing my mother and Judy was talking about is, you know, when they were in that Gestapo, in that woman's Gestapo, that house, these Nazi soldiers came through and laughing that they just burned down this other shtetl, and that happened to be one where my mom and Judy and my grandparents were from. So, you know, with everything that happened and their escape and all that, got liberated in Denmark, the Danish Red Cross says, "Oh no, the Jews are in Sweden, they're coming back." And Ben Melcher, who was my school teacher, he's the rabbi of the Jewish community now, he said to me years ago, he says, "You know, it's not the first time a country has helped Jews get out, but it's the first time they're allowing the Jews back in." So this composition I called Miracle Children because I think of all of us as, wow, I'm here. I'm a 74-year-old man. I got a son, I got grandkids, and we are the few of so many lives that were murdered and killed that this composition is called Miracle Children. Is the sound okay? Can you, between the harmonica and that? Okay. Oh, good, good. So here's Miracle Children. I think I'm going to turn my lapel off when I'm playing. Thank you. The next composition, oops, is called A Song from Mom. And this composition, when I composed, I could hear my mom singing. I composed it right after she passed, and well, I might as well share something here too. It's when my mom, she didn't want to die because she was worried about my brother. I told my mom, it was very weird to have to say, but then something, it's okay, let go. Because she was in a lot of pain, physical pain, and all kinds of things. So she said to me, it's probably the last time you're going to see me, because I went to Argentina to play a concert. And when I got off stage, I got the news. But I composed this piece, and I wish my mom was around to hear it. It's not about the tragedies. This piece is not about the tragedies. This was like, there's a part of my mom that was just, she had a great sense of humor, if you were lucky enough to catch it. And, you know, when you talk about gossip, yender, or whatever, the neighbor, and, you know, there's all these dynamics people have, you know, all in love, whatever. But it seems like everybody has an opinion about everybody and anything. So this is her sense of humor. So this thing's called Song from Mom. Sorry, I don't have a band with me, so I gotta. So what's very interesting, the first solo album I did, and I was still with the band War, but I decided there was tunes that I had composed back then that didn't work as the band, so that's why I decided to do solo albums too. And the first album was called Lee Oskar, and my parents heard it. So Mom heard it, and she says, you know, it reminds me of Yiddish melodies I used to sing as a child. You think people would like that? You know? And I said, Mom, if it's beautiful then, it's probably beautiful now too. It's okay, you know. And it was interesting. It was using harmonic minor, which is an unusual scale, not in Yiddish music, but in American music. Minor is usually a natural minor, very rarely a harmonic minor. And this album was the best album of the year in Billboard, Castbox, and Record World. And so it was like my mom, who loved to sing when she was a child, something just snapped, and she had my father record her on a reel-to-reel and start singing. And she was singing in English and in Danish, making up words, stories about me, because I left home when I was young. That was kind of the way when I came back home, and we, not to dwell on this, but I left home young, and it was terrible what I did to my parents by doing that. But it was what I had to go through my journey. And it's okay. So this next composition is the title of the album, and it's a short piece, and it's called Never Forget. And actually, let me just say one thing. When I was composing this Never Forget, is that I'm getting feedback. It's my lapel, maybe? A little bit, yeah. Is that, you know, where was I going with this? There was so many things coming through my head here. You know, a lot of people talk about, you know, like Black Lives Matters and this and that, you know. Of course it all matters. Life matters. I honestly feel, and this is like my opinion, I mean, I'm not the authority or anything here, but my opinion is that we're a long ways away from, that's why we must never forget, we're a long ways away from having the kind of peace we want in this world. And the peace that we want in this world is never going to be by saying, oh, you got to appreciate the beauty about the difference between people. BS. If you recognize 99% of us have so much in common, start recognizing how much we have in common. Then we can eliminate the fears. If we eliminate the fears, then maybe people can tolerate each other's ideas and recognize the beauties between people. But the fears and the rhetoric and all the things, all the stereotype things, it's never going to go away as long as you expect somebody to appreciate the differences. There's so much we have in common. So much more than we could ever see differences. So we got to get rid of the fear. And it's not going to take, it be in my lifetime or anybody's lifetime here. It's going to take a long time, but it's not going to happen until people realize that you got to learn to tolerate the differences by recognizing how much we have in common and not be afraid. So Never Forget is the title composition, and here it is. Thank you. So from there, I'd like to play a composition. It's called Last Moments, Saying Goodbye. My mother, my father had strokes. And I think I have to say my father was a very sad man. Because when he had to leave all his friends and they moved to Canada, and my mother's brother, Uncle Appy, knowing he's alive, my father, I would say he was happy, but he missed a lot of his pals he grew up in Denmark with. And he was there for my mom, of course. My mother, my brother Ralph, stepped out while he was like 2 years. He was 2 years. Let me explain. 2 years had strokes. 2 years in this hospital. All the other people, patients in the stroke division that had stroke patients, they were the opposite. My father's brain, his cup was still, he could still feel and think, but his body, he was a small man, but it would take 2 people to bedridden him. And he was totally, that's what stroke did. Muscles, everything. He couldn't function. And knowing that he couldn't come back to see his coin collection, stamp collections, and he couldn't be back there no matter what. My mother, who had terrible bladder problems, would take 3 streetcar and buses, 3 different points to get to the hospital where Dad was in. Cold winter, sometimes not in the bathroom, and didn't miss a day. Not even a day. Every day she went. She would watch the soap operas. She would have the other patients that are there, all the other patients were the opposite. Like their brain wasn't working, so they were walking around saying, F you, like probably things that they would never expect they would say, even though thinking it. They were walking around like crazy people. And my father was in his wheelchair just watching it, and of course, physically, his strokes got him. My mom would feed all of them because all these other families, they rarely come and see, My mother was there every day. So, I come to Toronto to see my dad, and he's got Last Moments. That's what this composition I'm going to play is. And I played this melody while he was still breathing. I could hear him breathing. My brother and my mother had just stepped out, and I heard my father's last breath. And this melody I'm going to play you is very American in some ways, but it represents last moments, saying goodbye, as one out of many people that survived, come to America, and life goes on. Here it is. Thank you. And then this next composition that I composed is it's called Liberty and American Waltz. So this represents to me what everybody comes to America, at least it used to be, hopefully it can continue to be, a land of promised land of opportunities. It takes a lot of courage, I think, to take a whole family. It takes a lot of courage for people to migrate and move. That's a big deal. So this is called an American Waltz. All right, thank you. And so I think I'm going to do this composition that is, it's not even released yet. It's not released yet. It's a composition called Funky Rhetoric. And this funky rhetoric means that today, especially with technologies and communications, the bad part, as good as technologies are, is that everything is in real time and everybody is getting sound bites from everything at every time. I mean, tragedies are just a normal thing. You see in news, everything. It's just so desensitized, whatever you want to call it. But the scary part is that rhetoric is just like little bullet points. And anything can be rationalized and make sense. And today, even in the United States, we have tribes now, like that, because it's the same human beings that immigrated here to get away from it. everybody goes to another place, and then it becomes the same thing again. So after a few hundred years, I mean, you got Republicans, you got Democrats, and then people don't know what it all means, and then they're everybody's enemy because they didn't join one tribe or the other or whatever. It just, I grew up where you don't talk politics, religion, or how much money you make. And in this country, it's a country where you don't even have to be polite. Politeness is a way. It used to be, politeness is, I want you to understand me clearly when I say this. I grew up with politeness. There's politeness in many countries where there's been horrific things. Because politeness is the way you talk to anybody as acquaintance, stranger. It's different than the way you talk at home. Because you don't want to step on anybody's toes in case somebody's anti-Semitic or somebody don't like the way you look or anything. You have to be very careful. And in this country, it was such an amazing freedom. I mean, literally, I think I could walk into anybody's living room and it would be maybe accepted in the United States, where it wouldn't be where I came from. But you can look at it and see in your living room, wow, that's a sculpture, there's 10 in that collection, I'm missing that one. Do you think I could have that sculpture? Or would you sell it? Or if you think about it? I mean, in other words, that's not what I would do, but I'm saying that in this country, there was this comfortability of people can say, screw you, and nobody got offended. It's like, it was very comfortable. But in these days, as things are becoming so steamed up about all this rhetoric, it's a frightening time, and people in this country, especially young people who the entitlement that people grew out in this country, that people were put in a cocoon because you don't want to know about the bad stuff, and so a lot of kids are growing up not knowing the realities. It's going to be reality checks, because sooner or later people got to learn to be careful and not talking politics and things just to anybody, because it's rhetoric. And funky rhetoric is what happened in Europe, and it happens everywhere, and it's going to happen here too. So we all have to never forget and approach things in a really, in the right protocols. That's all I can say. Sorry, guys. I'm used to playing with a band, Here we go. Where are you? Come on, baby. Okay, here we go. Thank you. And then I think I'll play this tune because, Santa Barbara, Caribbean love song. I see palm trees here too. So this is a tune called Caribbean Love Song. Yeah. I'm going to do a composition now, another new composition called Lonely Waltz Till We Met. It's called Till We Met. And this next tune I want to do is called Children of the World. And this composition represents to me, I mean, again, we see with news every day, with technology that shows you in real time everything. So many families and so many things. It hasn't stopped. It's not about, doesn't matter if it's Nazis or what, it has never stopped. And you see now children being separated from parents at borders, and you know, it doesn't matter. Children itself, the integrity of children, they are so innocent, so naive. They just want to have fun and play. And what's wrong with having that when you're growing up too, you know? I mean, there's a lot to learn. But they can't figure this stuff out. And when they are leaning on grown people, whether it's the parents and politicians and all that, what the hell is going on? How could this be? Even if they're strained in quarantine, why would they separate the parents from the children? I mean, it's just. So anyhow, this composition I'm going to play, it's a happy tune. It's about children of the world. And oh, there's the pin there. Okay. So let's get that one on. And Man, I keep forgetting to turn this thing off, and I'm sure it don't sound as good as you could have. Oh, thank you. I'm going to do this thing now, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You'll know.
Check, check. Lee Oskar, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. Woo. Lee, thank you for being here tonight, this afternoon. Well done.
Thank you, my lunchman.
Don't forget, the artwork is around the room. 50% of the sales for the artwork go to CBB, the merchandise, CDs, and we have a nice wine and cheese reception. Lee's going to hang around for any questions that or comments you want to make for him and to him, and appreciations. So thank you, Lee Oskar, ladies and gentlemen.